The Mobile County Public School System presents Homeroom with Nancy Pierce.
Hello and welcome to Homeroom. I'm Nancy Pierce, Public Relations Supervisor for the Mobile County Public School System. It is so good to have you join us today. Back to school, unbelievable how quickly summer went, but the children are ready, we are ready, and we're talking technology today because we have so much technology in our school system. Joining me is the fabulous David Ackridge, the Executive Manager of the IT Information Technology Department.
Hello,
Division.
How are you today?
Great, you know, we always have such a good time when you show up.
I know, it's awesome, and you know, it just keeps expanding, keeps growing, and we just have a good time.
Well, you're always smiling when you talk about IT. When you talk about technology, that's it. If you're ever in a bad mood and I walk in and say, let's talk technology, boom.
I just beam
I
up.
know, you really, really do. We've come so far.
Well, we really have, and I know, you know, obviously always funding's a problem, and you know, that can get me sad a little bit, but what we've done in the district as a team with the principals and as a staff, and what we've done with a little bit of funding that we do have, you know, I think we've done a great job.
I do too.
And I will start off by saying that Ms. Peak and I got to go, I think it was last week on the 22nd or so, I can't remember, but we got to go to Montgomery to discuss with one of the Ways and Means committees, discuss K-12 technology funding.
Wow.
So we had a chance to kind of express some of the concerns we have since our bad economy started several years ago. We've had a chance to you know, say we really need to get some funding back for technology, and so I think they listened, and there's going to be some more meetings to follow up. We know things don't happen fast.
I was going to say, did they tell you right away, okay, well, we think you should have.
Yeah, we got plenty of money, we're just going to give it to you, yes.
No, that didn't
no,
work.
that didn't work. But they are, and you know, Nancy, for the first time, there was some real understanding, I think, from their standpoint, and they know that things are changing fast, and we're gonna have to do something. So
Sure.
I was excited about it. I left, you know, not too many times you leave from a political setting where you're kind of excited, but I was excited.
Was
about
it a show and tell? Were you able to show them anything you were doing, or pretty much just talk about it?
Well, we pretty much talked about it, and of course Miss Peak did most of the talking, but she did a great job of emphasizing the things that we're doing. And what I was surprised at was so many of them knew what we were doing here in Mobile.
Which is so good.
Yeah, you know, Dr. Bice was there, and he mentioned
The state superintendent.
Yeah, he mentioned Castleton Elementary School, and one of the things that he talked about was, you know, Pam Adams is doing some great things down there, and he said, you know, I walked into a classroom and he showed up unannounced. Well, it really was kind of unannounced. There wasn't, because I think he was visiting Grand Bay Middle School just up the hill there, and he came down to see her. And he went in the classroom, and the kids were actually taking little robotics, and they were programming. These third and fourth graders were programming code for it to do.
Oh, you're kidding
yeah,
me.
you know, and he mentioned that, and the representatives' faces just lit up, and he was like, you know, those are the things that are happening. And
I'm sure your face lit up.
Yeah,
I
was really proud, even though, you know, Miss Adams does a great job down there. But I was just proud for the district that we have those kind of capabilities, and that's just one story.
Right.
I mean, you know, we see stories all day long about things that are going on and happening all over the district, and he cited, you know, several things that Mobile was doing, and I was really proud.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Of our district as a whole.
So if I have any problems with any of my technology stuff, I can just call a third or fourth
yeah.
grader and they'll fix it.
They'll fix it for you. So no
boy.
problem, no problem. And you know, another funding thing and that's happening is the E-rate process that we, you know.
Explain E-rate.
Yeah, so E-rate's been around. We're actually in our this year in July started our 17th year of E-rate nationally, and it was something set up by the Clinton administration back in '96. I think was the first year. And that funding is a very small tax that's put on your cell phone and on your home phone. Now, back in '96, it was mostly on home phones, but today it's a majority of it's on cell coverage. So if you look on your phone bill, you'll see there's a little bill down there. It's like $1.50, $1.20 on your bill each month. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, collects that money and then they govern a group called USAC. They're a private company that distributes the funds, and we have to apply each year for the funds.
Right.
And so the funds can be used for two priorities, priority one, priority two. And so the priority one is for our services. So it'd be like our telephone bill, our internet bill, our wide area network bill. So these are all the things that we pay to have a network, to have telephones, to have cell phones, to have internet capability. Because just like at home, you can imagine, you know, you're paying $40, $50 a month for internet. You can imagine what we're paying for internet a month. So, so we apply each year for that. And we're what's known right now as a 78% district. So when you look at our free and reduced rate, and you look at our rural urban setting, and our minority or low income families, they have this big calculation that they run through, and it spits out at the end that we're a 22% district. So, you know, 78% of our services are paid by USAC, and we match with the 22%. Then on the priority two side, it's the same type of thing, but yet as a whole district, instead of a whole district, we are funded at school level. So you have schools that are 90%, you have schools that are 80%. So we're split about half in the district. So when we buy equipment, it's only used to buy equipment to get our students to the internet. So you have all this equipment in the closet, and you have all these things in the ceiling, and that gets us to the wireless, and it's very expensive equipment.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of times, because of the federal funding, we only have to pay 10 cents on the dollar.
Wow, that's
So
great.
yeah, I mean, it really is. And to give you an idea, we've leveraged about, over that 18 years, we've probably leveraged, you know, probably about, you know, somewhere around the neighborhood of 20, 25 million. But we've gotten over $200 million worth of equipment to put in the schools. So,
well, if somebody said, "Let me see it," well, if it's in the walls, you know,
Yeah.
it's up in the ceiling, you really can't.
and to give
just
you an
have to talk
idea
about it.
that, you know, recently is a good example, because we were the only district in the state of Alabama that did all of our ACT Aspire testing online.
Right.
And so, and we usually do the bubble, you know, a little bubble sheet.
Like we used to use.
Yeah,
You know what,
exactly.
David, we're going to have to take a quick break.
Okay.
Will you keep that thought?
I will.
All right, we're talking about our testing and how that's changed. We'll be right back, so don't go away. We've got a lot more.
Diesel is a very big industry, and I went into it in a 2-year program at the Bryant Career Tech with Tony Tillman.
When Jacob graduated from the Bryant Career Center, he had earned his diesel credential.
The Career Technical Center taught me a lot, all the way from not knowing anything about a motor or engine to knowing pretty much every single moving part of them.
MCPSS Career Tech. Start your future today.
The quality of education that I received from the Mobile County Public School System really prepared me for global success. Being an international opera singer, I get to travel all across the world. And one of the most important aspects about that is being able to communicate and work with people. And the Mobile County Public School System really equipped me to be greatly successful worldwide.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Let's switch to Energy Star light bulbs and stop burning through cash. Saving energy saves you money.
Welcome back to Homeroom. I'm Nancy Pierce. We're talking technology, which is such a favorite subject for so many people. And joining me is David Ackridge, and he is the Executive Manager of the Information Technology. And we were talking about, because we have such a great infrastructure, we were able to test with some of our testing online, totally online, instead of doing that fill in the bubble.
And we were nervous about it too. I'm not going to lie to you. Anytime that you
the number of students that were taking the test, and Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think the estimates were about 43,000 tests we took
Taking
online.
it online.
Yeah, so we were we were quite nervous.
How
And
did it go?
Well, and it was over a 2-week span,
Right.
so we had time to do that. But Miss Peak just, you know, it's amazing sometimes. She just tells us, she says, we can do this, and we're going to do this.
And you do it?
You know, and you go tell your team, and they say, what?
What?
You know, they get real scared. And I said, we can do this. And we had to, you know, we don't quite have, we have the infrastructure, but in a lot of schools we're short on computers, and we're trying to rectify that and get that fixed. So we had to go in and do some makeshift labs and stuff. And then we had a 2-week period where they brought the kids in, took the exams, and brought them out, and they just filtered them in. And you know, some of the principals were, understandably so, were very skeptical about it, but everybody stuck to the plan
Right.
and did it the way we were supposed to. And we worked together with Dr. Smith, who's over our testing, and my group with Michelle White and Sherry Moore, Tracy Mathis, and George Mitchell worked really hard as a group to get everything working out in the schools, and then the principals did a great job of scheduling and getting them in and out. And when it was all said and done, we really did not have a hitch at any of those days. And you know, it was so fun to watch the principals tweet. They were tweeting things afterwards going, you know, really was awesome, much more than I expected. The kids were very positive, and several principals says, you know, I'll never go back to doing
sure.
bubbling. So,
Oh,
but,
that was when I went to school.
well, I know, but you know, these kids nowadays are so looking
I know.
to do it online, and so we heard from the principals, and so we went back and kind of did a recap afterwards. And you know, it really was the fact that we've spent so much money through the E-rate program and back into the schools, and like you said before we went to break, it's not really a lot of things that you can see.
Right.
It's not the flashy things that are in the classroom, but we've built that, we've put the motor in the car.
Exactly.
You know, for lack of a better example,
that's a good
we've
example.
put the motor in the car, and then now it's useful. And so now we're working very hard to try to get the flashy things in the classroom and try to work on the flashy stuff. But because we spent that money, and because we had the foresight as a district, I think that we're going to be well off and well ahead. Now, the plans this year, they've changed, the USAC and FCC have changed a lot of the requirements for E-rate this year. So I don't know if you've heard or read, but the Obama administration, the biggest push is going to be for bandwidth and infrastructure.
Oh, good.
And so it's even more vast than what we have now. And so, you know, it just makes me feel good that we knew the path that we needed to go, and we're ahead of a lot. Yeah, we are ahead of the game, but we got to make some strides in the classroom now.
Right.
We've got to do some things in the classroom.
What do you want to do in the classroom?
Well, you know, it's funny. We just came back from a Cisco briefing center in Chicago, and they brought us up there, and we got to go to this fabulous building that had all of their stuff, that their future stuff that they're building and working on. And
You didn't have a good time, did you?
oh, you know, and you come back with all this wish list of stuff, and they go, wait, you know, some of this stuff's not available. But you know, Nancy, video is where everything's going. There's going to be capabilities within the proper amount of finance and to have video capability in each classroom, so that teachers can record their lesson plans, teachers can collaborate with rooms within the school, within the district,
Oh, that's really cool.
or around the country.
Sure.
And when I say collaborate, you know, maybe you have a great teacher that does an awesome job with teaching in elementary about dinosaurs, and you have this other teacher over here that really doesn't care as much about dinosaurs. Well, they can collaborate.
Yeah.
They can video conference into those rooms, and maybe one classroom across the county is doing something incredible about the dinosaurs, and you want to call in and see it. Maybe you want to call into the environmental center. You're studying about reptiles, or you're studying about the alligators or something. You want to call in. They can just literally dial up from in the classroom, and that capability is going to be in every single classroom, all 4,000 of our classrooms.
That's this year?
No, we're
okay.
going to
Working
work
on it.
in that light, because Cisco is coming out with some low cost high-end equipment that we're going to be able to attach right to our smart boards. Now, we have about 200 or 300 classrooms today that have that capability.
How many classrooms are there?
4,000.
That's what I thought you said.
4,000. So, and we have several hundred now that have the webcams and the capability, and they're doing that collaboration, and it's really working. It's helping teachers to fill the gaps in learning. And so we know it's important, but now if we can do that and then expand it out to where we have all of these things that kids normally do field trips in, not to take away the chance of going, but they can pinpoint learning in specific areas. So like I said, if I want to call the environmental center, or maybe I want to call Mr. Sheffield and talk about what they're doing in construction, or maybe I want to call his forestry department and talk about what they're doing in the woods and how they grow trees and things. So just really trying to pinpoint the learning. So
Doesn't it amaze you?
It does. It does. Now, another thing, I'm going to tell you the big thing that amazes me is 3D printing. Now, have you heard of 3D printing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'd like to say I have, but I don't think I have.
3D printing is amazing, and we went to our National ISTE conference just this past month, and 3D printing is all the rage. So literally, with this device, it feeds a coil of plastic into the back. It's almost like a weed eater line. It sits in the back. It's on a big spool, and it's this big spool of wire, and it's plastic, and it feeds up through the top of this printer. So what you do is you take an object, the schematic on an object, and you put it in and scan it. It's a 3D object in the computer, and you tell this printer to print it.
Okay.
And it molds this plastic into this whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit.
Yeah, and so they were building their things to hold your iPhone. They were building things to all these little trinkets and things that you get. They were molding them and building them right in front of us, and of course there was dozens of vendors there that was selling them, and of course when they first came out they were about $10,000 or $15,000. Well, they have them for $1,500 now. Well, we have about 4 or 5 of our schools that have these printers.
Oh my gosh.
And so,
what do they use them for?
okay,
When do they use them?
So now think about if you're studying ancient artifacts.
Okay.
And so you have this artifact that they dug up out of King Tut's tomb.
Okay.
You can put that schematic into the computer and you can print out this thing, and the kids can hold this artifact.
Oh,
They can
that's weird.
They can actually see the artifact
Wow.
and hold it, and it's an exact replica, duplication of
gosh.
it. And so it's amazing that in our Lego robotics classes, so we got, Causey Middle School has a Lego robotics team there, and you can actually get from Lego some of the schematics for parts that they can create, parts that help the robots go faster. So the kids can actually do design teams where they can go in and design crawlers or legs or wheels that would actually help them complete tasks faster. They can actually physically design them and then print them out, try them on the Lego stuff. And so, I mean, that's where we're going. I mean, that type of learning in the classroom is what's going to be expected, and the equipment's getting much more, much less expensive.
Sure.
Materials, you know, a big spool of that plastic's about $24, so the schools are not really struggling to do that. But that's just 2 ways that we know of. You can imagine this in the hands of a creative teacher.
Oh, no kidding.
It would be amazing. But you kind of have to see that to believe it. I mean, it's really.
I have to go see this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like science fiction or something.
Well, up there at the thing, they had all this stuff laid out, and one of them was a crescent wrench, and it made a complete crescent wrench, even with the
Oh my
and it's
gosh.
usable. I mean,
Whoa.
the hard weight plastic, it's very usable. And so in industry, they're used a lot. So I would imagine that Mr. Mouton and our career tech is going to really look into that if he's not already. I'm sure he has. But industry's using that a lot to build their parts, and then they use those parts to build molds and so that takes a huge manufacturing step out of the process for them, where they can design and build and try, and then they can mold their own parts. So.
And one day some of our kids will be doing that.
They will
be
be.
coming up with things that we would think would be science fiction then, you know, in the future. But, you know, that's what's so cool, because they're using this right now and thinking about all the things that go into this, and, you know, it could be them.
And you know, Nancy, the first thing I would have thought was, man, our middle school, high schools, but it's the elementary schools that are buying these. And the kids are just, you know, they're not going to understand a time when you couldn't mold something from a 3D printer. And so, you know, they're changing over as they've taken that technology. They're changing over now where they have some that print from metal, that'll actually weld the metal as it's moving up.
Oh my gosh!
And they have one that uses a substance that's like wood chips, and it'll actually mold things out of wood. They'll actually glue the pieces together and bind them as they're coming together.
I've got to see this.
Yeah, and you know, it's amazing. One thing was printing a replica of the Empire State Building, and it was really, really amazing to watch and see.
I have to see this, but we also have to take another break.
Fine.
Don't move.
I won't go.
All right, and you don't move either. We'll be right back.
Nonviolence will start with me.
Nonviolence will start with me.
All across the Mobile County public school system, students are taking the pledge.
I pledge to accept the responsibility of my actions.
To solve problems peacefully.
Respect myself and others.
The 100 Days of Nonviolence Pledge. It's an initiative to help explore alternative means of stopping violence among school students. Will you take the challenge? Get involved. Take a stand. 100 Days, 100 Ways.
I bought smartboard, that's right.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to energy-saving bulbs. Saving energy saves you money. When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
Welcome back. We are going to wrap up with David Ackridge, but we have time to talk about BYOD. David is the executive manager of the IT department, which is information technology. And we've talked about great things that I really think are amazing that I have got to see, because I have not seen them, but I have seen how BYOD works. What does BYOD mean? You know, we use all these acronyms and things in education, and educationese, which a lot of people don't understand. So,
well, it's basically bring your own device, and so we're kind of loosening up the trend of saying, you know, leave your stuff at home, leave your devices. We don't want any of that here. We're trying to loosen that up, and we're trying to balance between allowing them to bring them to class and then controlling what they do on those devices. So, you know, Nancy, several years ago, I would have told you when I took over that our goal would have been to purchase a device for every student. And so, as time moved on and devices got cheaper, I kept thinking, you know, we get down to that $100 threshold or $200 threshold. But you know, the magnitude of what we're going to try to do if we try to buy 60,000 devices and hand those out, the magnitude of my team of 9 guys trying to manage and distribute those and collect, and even if we had a warranty from a company that allowed us to come in and repair those, we would still be collecting. And I know a district that's here in Alabama, it's a third our size, collects about 200 a week that need repairing.
oh my.
So, you know, you're looking at 600 devices a week that would come into this office that would need to be tagged, turned around, repaired, and brought back. And the magnitude of that's just unbelievable.
Oh, sure.
I just don't know how we're ever going to reach that particular summit, because it's not just about buying the computers. It's about supplying the manpower, which, you know, salaries are expensive. It's about supplying an infrastructure. Although we have a tremendous, tremendous infrastructure, I don't know that we can support 60,000 devices today on it at one time. As a matter of fact, I know we can't. So we're gradually moving into saying, you know, kids have devices. They have.
Oh, sure they do.
And they have the device that they want.
Right.
You know, you and I were talking before the show that, you know, Apple, or do you want an Android, or do you want an HP, or do you want, you know, what are the different types of things? And that's the greatness about technology, is we can choose what we want. And this allows kids to bring what they have, what they're used to, what they know how to
iPad?
use. Oh yeah, Kindle, an iPad. They can bring an Android 7-inch tablet. You know, Androids come in devices that start, you know, Best Buy has them at about $59 up to $300, and they all work. They only need to be web enabled, and that's pretty much every tablet device.
So how many schools right now do the program?
We have
Bring Your Own Device?
27 schools that are
Okay.
actively participating, and we have about 10 that are wanting to start immediately after school starts this year.
How do they use them in the classroom? I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's really, we're moving from saying that you don't have to have a device to do the work in classroom. We're just allowing you to bring one. So a teacher has you looking up vocabulary words. A teacher has you doing assessments or assignments. It's like back in the day, we didn't all have encyclopedias at home. You know, so we had to go to the library, or there were other ways that we could do that. And the kids, they can go to the library and look these things up. The teachers give them assignments on paper if the kids still want to do them on paper. They have supplemental devices in the classroom that they can use. They can't bring them home, but they can use them in the classroom. And then the kids that have their devices. And then they collaborate. So it's like a student has one, other students can come with them, and they work together to look up or to do research. Another thing that we've purchased is a program called Smart VE that turns any web-enabled device into what's known as a clicker, where the teacher puts an exam up on the board and the kids answer the questions, A, B, C, and it gets an instant response back to the teacher. And so a lot of teachers are using it for that too.
This is all, it's truly amazing what this is doing.
It is, and you know, I understand, you know, I'm not naive, and I understand the limitations of BYOD. I understand that we have about 30% of the kids in our district that are not going to be able to bring the devices. And a lot of it is not because parents can't afford it, it's because they don't want to send their kid to school. They don't trust them enough to send them with a $200 device. They're going to tear it up. I know I had that issue with my son. But
that's not good when the information technology executive manager will not let his son take a device to school.
I let him bring his own phone and stuff, but he's not taking any of my tablets to school. But you know, parents have stressed that, and I understand as a parent, because I'm a parent too, and you know your student, you know, and I think it's not just the fact that they can't afford them, and so we're working very hard. But you know, we have an easier time supplementing 25 or 30% than buying 100%, and so that's
and they
what
change so quickly.
They do. They do, and you know, BYOD makes it responsible for the kids to keep up with their devices and keep them updated. And another thing too, you know, a parent makes a $50 investment in a tablet, $50 investment. That, you know, that tablet could last 2, maybe 3 years. So you're not talking about a yearly investment of $50. If the student takes care of it, which a majority of our students will take care of them because they're theirs, they have money in it, their parents are going to encourage them to take care of it. It'll be an investment for 2 or 3 years, and then the technology will change and they can buy more. So
it's a fast-moving
really
technological world.
You have to stay on top of it.
So we're almost finished. Oh, we are finished. So I wanted to ask your wish list, but you're going to have to hold that for later.
That's all right. We'll do another one after school starts.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Dave. It's
Thank
always
you
a pleasure.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. All right. And thank you for watching and for listening.